Well, show your appreciation to our praise and worship team, not just today, but all throughout the year, have led us so well. Thank you to each and every one of you. Hey, and as you're taking your seats, why don't you turn to someone and tell them what your favorite gift you received this year? What was that one thing that you got in your stocking or you received that you were grateful for? It's so good to see all our kids here, and we are so blessed to have so many of them. But also this moment in the year, I guess we begin to start looking ahead into 2025, and I'm sure maybe some people have got plans, ambitions, you maybe even got resolutions and things that you are working towards for next year. But it's also good to take a moment to reflect and look back to see how God has been gracious and kind to us in the year previously. And today we're going to hear from three different voices. We're going to hear from Christina Simpson, Rachel Bell, and then Louise Reed afterwards. And they're all going to share different parts, I guess, of their journey. Then I'm sure each of us today, as we reflect on our lives and our journey, we'll be inspired and reminded just of how kind and God's been to us and to our families. So Christina's going to come and she's going to start with us this morning. So come on, Christina, make your way. And as she does so, come on, that's it, encourage her. Come on, you can do better than that, guys. Encourage her as she comes today. Thank you, Christina. And we're really looking forward to what you're going to share with us today.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm nae used to speaking up here, so obviously just bear with me. Hopefully everybody's had a good Christmas and had spent some fine time with your families. We've needed some downtime because, as everybody will probably agree, December has been madness. Everybody's schedules have been busy, and it's been fine just to have some time to relax. When I was asked today to do a testimony of God's goodness through a difficult time that we've had since last year, it was an easier yes at the time than it has been over the last couple of days. Christmas has passed, and then I thought, oh no, this is coming up. But it really is a privilege to stand up here today, just to thank God for the goodness that He has displayed in our life over the last year. As you are probably already can, last November my dad had a stroke. It was very out of the blue, it was very sudden, and just randomly one Sunday morning got a phone call. So as you can imagine, our whole world's turned upside down in an instant. I'm now going to get emotional today. We are really blessed with a close family around us. For our rallied round, leaned on each other for support, and helped each other through a difficult time, to be able not only to help each other, but to help my dad. Some days were harder than others, but I'm not here today to dwell on that. He's doing so well. We're all really proud of the work that he's put in and how much he's pushed himself. But I'm here today to tell you all the thankfulness that we've got. I'm first of all thankful that our first port of call is God in situations like this. It's when life throws you at this kind of situations, it's sometimes difficult to navigate. It's maybe something that we need to handle on our own. It's maybe something that you feel alone in, or struggle trying to fix things yourself. If you're a fixer of problems, or you're a person who tries to make all things right, it's sometimes hard. But for me, my initial reaction is, God, help us, take over. Please help us in this situation. There's a verse I'd like to share with you, which was one of the many verses given to us through that time, which was, again, we're very thankful for. But this verse is Romans 12:12, and it says, "Be joyful in hope, patient in tribulation, and steadfast in prayer." those three things really was so important to me and our family in this situation. Being joyful in hope. It isn't something that we can be in these situations all the time. Being joyful seems such a strange thing to be when you're faced with a family crisis like this. It's hard, but we believe that God can do all things, and our hope lives in him. So it's been preached lately, I can't remember if it was Daniel or Neil, but that joy is nae an emotion. It's something that we choose to hae. And the joy of the Lord is our strength. And strength is definitely something that I really, really needed a lot of. So I've tried to be joyful in the hope that God will see my dad through this journey right to the end, and still have greater plans than we could ever ask or imagine. So the next thing in the verse is to be patient in tribulation. Well, being patient is definitely a strong point of mine, and definitely a strong point of my dad's. But it's something that we needed to hear a lot of pretty quickly in the situation. The things we go through are not always going to be fixed when we want them to be fixed. We obviously want things to be fixed instantly, but God takes us through a different journey in it, and often wants to teach us things in the process, which is another thing that we learned pretty quickly. How he shapes us and how he teaches us things may be for the greater purpose of us helping others in the future. Being patient and trusting God is and working. We ken that he's working things out in his timing, which is a huge part of the journey for me. Steadfast in prayer is the last thing in that verse. The amount of prayer that we have received for my dad and for us as a family have been very greatly appreciated. Our own church at Apex, the wider church in Peterhead, and even in other parts of the world that have been praying with us steadfastly. It's been nae something that we've taken for granted. Knowing that we've had people that are close to us, very close friends, and church family that have been standing with us in prayer has been a big encouragement and comfort to us, and something that we are, as a family, very, very thankful for. Even our own parents have faithfully prayed for the Granda every night for his healing, which we are so glad that it's on their hearts today, and it's been touching. So this morning, if anything, I'd like to encourage everybody that whatever situation you're faced with unexpectedly, or a situation you ken is coming, whatever you're going through and whatever struggles you have, just try and let God be your first port of call, nae the last. Give God the reins and let him take full control. And I'll leave you with this verse one more time. It's Romans 12:12. Be joyful in hope, be patient in tribulation, and steadfast in prayer. I wish everybody a really blessed new year, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Come on, let's encourage Christina one more time. Wow. Come on, Billy, we're still praying and believing that as you go on your health journey, you're going to see God's goodness continued. And hey, that's a reality, isn't it? When things like that happen within a family, it's not just the individual that is going through that. The whole family goes through it and knows God's kindness and his help in those moments. And hey, someone who knows all about finding good stories is Rachel Bell. She does that every day for her job, and she's going to come and share with us today. Come on, Rachel.
Good morning, church. Let me get my notes up. Of course, it's not working. It's a good start, is it? Fraser, make this work. Oh, hang on. There we go. It's a new phone. When Pastor Dan phoned me a couple of weeks ago, and he asked me to speak this morning about something that I was thankful for, I was sitting at my desk at work, and I was thinking, goodness, I've got loads to be thankful for. I've got a wonderful family, home, church, kids who cover my jeans in crayon and half a bottle of juice before I come on stage on a Sunday. But the thing that I kept coming back to as I was sitting there was just a thankfulness for stories. As Dan says, I am a journalist, and when my 4-year-old son Cameron asks me what I do when I go to work, I tell him, well, Cam, I tell stories. And it's something that I'm really, really passionate about. I'm really grateful for. And I was sitting at my desk that day and I was reflecting on some of the stories that I've had the real privilege of working on this year. And while some journalists maybe get their satisfaction from, those big political interviews or, the latest scoop, for me, it's more about those human interest stories, those stories that really just kind of cut through and just touch you in just a different way. Those stories of seemingly ordinary people who do remarkable things. And it's those stories that, for some reason, they just touch me. And I think about long after I've done the interview, long after the interview has been broadcast, they stay with me, they change the way I understand certain situations, the way I see the world a lot of the times. Whether this year it was a young survivor of a car crash who was just grateful to be alive, or a teenager who suffered from chronic pain but found peace and a love and a bit of solace in a really amazing and remarkable knowledge of antiques. And even a wee bit closer to home, members of this very community and indeed my own family who spoke so bravely 70 years on from the tragic loss of fishermen on the quiet waters. And not only did they speak about a grief that was 70 years old, but they also spoke about the bravery and resilience and the faith of the women and the children who were left behind. Seemingly ordinary people who do remarkable things. These are the stories which I think are just really powerful, and I certainly never take them for granted, that opportunity to sit down with someone and to help them tell their story. To have that power to capture someone and to inspire you. And I think as Christians, we should never underestimate that power either. Because the fact is, if you are a Christian and if you know Jesus, you 100% without doubt have a story that is worth telling. A story of salvation, a story of grace, of resilience, of love, and of perseverance, of the everlasting love of God in highs and in lows. Is there anything more powerful than hearing Christians tell their story, tell their testimony? We saw that with Christina there just now. Christina, my goodness. Just this openness about a really difficult situation. But I'm sure that will spoke to many hearts this morning. And who better to look to when we think about stories than the greatest storyteller ever known, Jesus Christ? We saw it time and time again in the Bible. Throughout Jesus' ministry, the main tool he used time and time again was storytelling. In Matthew 13, when Jesus went to preach to a group of people and he went out on the boat, the message says, all Jesus did that day was tell stories, a long storytelling afternoon. Can you imagine being there? Can you imagine the privilege of being there? How amazing would that have been? Over the past few weeks, I'm sure we've all been listening to Christmas albums and stuff. For me this year, that album has been the new Phil Wickham album, and there's a song in it called Manger Throne, which has a lot to do with what I'm saying this morning, and I'm just going to tell you about a verse in it. It says, you could have marched in all your glory into the heart of Rome, showed them splendor like they've never known. But you wrote a better story in humble Bethlehem, creator in the arms of common man. You will die for our redemption, and you'll rise so we can live. And you can see this song makes me cry every time I hear it. So as we come to the end of 2024, we look ahead to 2025. Let's be thankful for the stories like Christina's, and let's be thankful for the greatest story ever told, the story of our salvation, the story that is as real and as life-changing and as honest and as amazing today in 2025 as it was back then in Bethlehem. So let's be thankful for those stories. Let's be courageous in our ability to tell them and to be open and honest with other people about our story, because we are seemingly ordinary people, but God has done remarkable things.
So much. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. That's it. Everyone has a story. Yeah, come on. Everyone has a story. Real people with real stories. And that's the amazing thing, is that every day we get that opportunity to share our story with other people, but also to share God's story through that as well. Well, Louise Reed is going to come, and she is going to share with us this morning as well. So come on, can we put our hands together for Louise as she makes her way down? Okay. Now, Louise, you're going to share with us this morning, and I hear you're the best preacher in the family. Is that right?
No pressure. Okay. Thanks, Daniel. No pressure at all. I'm just glad to be here this morning. I went over my ankle again last night and thought I wasn't going to manage. But here anyway, sometimes the devil tried to take us out when we've got something that we need to share. Daniel asked me a couple of weeks ago about speaking, and like to see it was great at the time. I thought, I can do that. Yeah, right, okay. But I have had, it's made me stop and reflect and think about the goodness of God for us this last year. I said, Davey, I wasn't going to cry. But God has been so good. We stand here at a significant juncture in our lives, looking at a new year, looking at the wonderful things that are ahead for us, but thanking God for his goodness and his faithfulness. The past year has brought its challenges and its blessings. And as we look forward, we have the strength and inspiration from our faith and from the Word of God. When we look back on this last year, we're reminded of the words found in Ecclesiastes. It says, "For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven." For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. Each moment we've experienced has a purpose. It may be impossible for us to realize what it is at that time, but it shapes us into who we are today. The trials we faced are not without reason. They've tested our faith and our resilience and our reliance on God alone. In James 1, it says, "We are encouraged to count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness." And there's a theme here. It's the steadfastness that we have to have in God. Christina spoke about that. We turn to God first, not last. And in the different things that we have gone through, we've encountered many hardships. Some of us in here have encountered loss, illness, and uncertainty. Yet through these experiences, we've also witnessed the outpouring and grace and support from our community. We've had a wonderful year in God this year. Thank you, Daniel. Jameson has kept us on our toes and on our knees. This year has been a real test of our faith in God. And as a family and as a community, we have felt that God has really put people around us. It says it takes a village. But we know we are strong because we have the family of God with us. We've felt every prayer. We have read every message and everything of encouragement. And we are thrilled to be able to stand today saying, thank you, Jesus, for your faithfulness. Thank you, God, for coming through for us. We knew you would. Sometimes it tests you, like I'm talking about the steadfastness. We have to prove God for ourselves. It's not good just to take other people's word for things. Sometimes you've got to press in and find God for yourself. You know, and as we're grateful for that. And we're looking on to reflect on the blessings that God has done and that we've received. In Philippians it says that we should not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present our requests before God. In doing so, the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, guards our hearts and minds, because at that time it's easy for us to become vulnerable. You know, you can get doubt and you can get fear and you can get anxiety. I've struggled desperately with anxiety over my life, and I know that how easy it is to fall into that trap. You know, but we have a God who is faithful, and a God who is always there with us, and a God who has the answer. And it's only through pressing in and pushing into God and seeking God for ourselves. You know, I spoke to Daniel when he asked me to speak. I says, Daniel, I will think on these things, because we are told to think on these things. We are told to press into God. And, you know, prayer without ceasing doesn't mean walking around with your hands clasped all day, speaking out loud. It can be praying when you're doing things, praying when you're washing dishes, praying when you're changing nappies, praying when you're hoovering. You know, you intercede on a constant basis. You know, you open the communication lines with God, and that's what we are challenged to do for this new year, is keep our hearts open, keep searching for God, keep looking for what He has for us, the best that He has for us. And as we stand here on the cusp of a new year, we can draw inspiration from Isaiah, where God assures us, remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? This is a powerful reminder that God is always at work in our lives, inviting us to embrace new beginnings, to look at new things. You know, as a new year comes in, new beginnings, new opportunities, new things to do in our community. It holds endless possibilities for us, an opportunity for growth, renewal, transformation. As we look forward, let us commit to living with purpose and with intention. You know, let's not just sail through this next year. Let's ask God what He wants us to do, how He wants to use us. How can God use me in our community and in our church and in my life? I might not think that I'm worth anything, but I know that God has a plan for me, and God has the same plan for you. Each one of us individually, God has something for us. It's a call to action. In Colossians, he says, he encourages us to work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive an inheritance as your reward. Each of us has a role to play in our communities and in our families. We must approach this new chapter of our lives with a heart full of hope and dedication. You know, be the light that you want people to see. It's not a calling for others to shine. It's a calling for you to shine. It's a calling for you to do what you can. Be the impact you want to see in other people's lives. It can only come through your dedication to God and your following from God. Don't let other people take that from you. This is your chance to shine. And as we move into this new year, let us consider how we can serve others. In Matthew, it says, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Let us be beacons of hope and of love, reaching out to those in need around us. Let us set goals and align with our faith, with our church, whether it's in deepening our prayer life. You know, I'm feeling a real calling in my life to really push into God more. You know, I find myself yearning for God's touch. Because once you've experienced it, nothing else can satisfy that hunger. Nothing else can draw you in like the touch of God on your life. it's deepening our prayer lives, engaging more actively in our church, or being more present for our loved ones, because sometimes that is also the calling. You know, you're called, you're part of a family. You know, you've got to step up and be there for them, and you have to be their guiding light. You're the one that is called to show them the way forward. Sometimes I have felt like I have stood alone. But you know, God is faithful. And I appreciate your prayers as a family and an extended family of mine, for my family too. You know, when things get tough, I know where I can go. I can go to my family and God, and I know that you are there and we share the same faith. And I know that I have saints behind me praying when I can't hold my own hands up. There are people who will uphold my hands in prayer and uphold my family. And this year, I pray that I am here for you. I pray that as God gives me the chance to go into this new year, you know, with Jameson doing well. God's blessed us so much. I take nothing for granted. And I ask God for continued blessings in this next year. You know, let's take actions to further God's kingdom. Let's see how we can positively impact the world around us. Show them that there is a way, that there is a God that loves us and honors. We can honor him, and he honors our faith in return. And I'm grateful today, and I say thank you on behalf of Amy and Peter and all our family for all that you've prayed for every time you've remembered, even just a thought. God captures those thoughts, and he's turned it positive for us, and we are so grateful. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I'm a part of the family of God.
Thank you so much. Come on, put your hands together for Louise one more time. I just love that whole theme that's been through there this morning of the steadfastness of God. That as we are faithful to him, he always shows himself faithful to us. And the band are going to lead us in this song that I'm sure that would be so fitting and appropriate to sing at a moment like this, where we think and reflect on the goodness of God. And we can think of all my life, God has been faithful. And I'm sure there have been days where it's been a struggle and it's been a challenge. But let me assure you this, God has been faithful in these moments just as much of on those easy days when you've jumped out of bed, ran to work, and everything's been so good. He's the same God in the valley as he is on the mountaintop as well. So come on, church, can we stand together and we are going to sing this song of the goodness of God.